The big debate that I see affecting so many people right now is deciding whether or not they should be focusing on doing a pelvic curl where they focus on articulation or a glute bridge where they focus on spinal stability. Now, both of these exercises have their place and have their benefits. However, whether or not you should choose one over the other is very relative. So what I'm going to share with you is one, to know the benefits, and I'm also going to share with you what I find to be most common for most people in our modern day life. And from here, you can sort of decide which one you're going to choose to do, or maybe add more into your program, because you might need one more than the other. But again, they're both great exercises. They both have their place, and it's about understanding where your body's at right now, rather than just trying to do what's trendy or what everyone is saying, because sometimes there is a lot to consider with your exercises, because the way that you move impacts your whole body. So the pelvic curl, in case you're not familiar with, is where you have your hips down on the floor and you take your pelvis and you do a curling like motion, and you come up one vertebrae at a time and then come down one vertebrae at a time as well. This is really great because it helps promote healthy flexion, and it's just helping you move your body in a different way, because some people are unaware of how all of this can move. And then depending on other exercises that you might want to do, you might need to be able to increase your range or mobility in this area, which can be really helpful. However, what I have to share that's super important here is a lot of people have a tendency to become really compressed in this exercise full time. And then when they get out of the position, they're so good at holding this position that they sort of compress their abdominals, and this impacts the way that they breathe. This can impact your pressure management. This can impact your pelvic floor coordination. So it's extremely important that if you have digestive issues, or if you have goals to do any particular athletics, running, walking long distances, or compound general training in general, it's important that you actually have the ability to expand here rather than just compress. Being able to compress is good. It's a skill. Great, you've achieved that. But can you also do the opposite that's going to help you have stability in other exercises? So what I find often for a lot of people that I help with, they have the ability to do a pelvic curl and they have been trained to do that. However, now they need to focus on being stable, connecting that rib cage and that pelvis, making sure it doesn't move once they've achieved good alignment, and from there staying stable there as they move their hips up and down off the ground. So I'll quickly share with you what that looks like in the glute bridge. So the glute bridge, feet lightly pressed into the ground, spine and pelvis neutral. So I'm not over tucking here. I'm not flattening my back. My spine basically has a tiny little space so that if I wanted to slide a piece of paper underneath my back, I could do that. And then from here, I press my feet into the ground, staying stable with my pelvis and my rib cage. And then I come up and down to the best of my ability. And then focus on here, just like you would with the pelvic curl. You focus on inhaling on the way down and then exhaling as you come up. And then depending on your range, you may or may not go high. You might just be here. You might come a little bit higher. There's many variables to that, so I don't want to get you too obsessed or distracted with that. Just the ability to keep those two in alignment and then think about your feet and come up and down is a lot. Over time, your range will get better. So when you factor all of that in, this becomes really important because one, you actually are not so compressed and tight in the abdomen. The abdomen learns to relax just a little bit, or just as much as it needs to, as you go down, and then as you exhale, come up. You're not focusing on that tightness again. It's just very fluid movement. And when you're running, when you're walking, if you think about it, this area is very fluid. You're not tensing up your core when you're running or walking. Or sorry, I hope you're not. So again, when I look at the two, they're both important. They both have their place. Some days I feel like I just want to go into a bit of a pelvic curl. It feels really nice for the back. But then some days I realize, yeah, I feel really strong and energized and ready when my spine is stable, because how your spine is literally impacts your energy. So the same way it's impacting your digestion, that's energy. So that's obviously then going to impact your mood. And if you have a strong, stable spine, and it can stay strong through a multi-dimensional way when you're moving, that's gonna help you breathe better, get better blood flow to your whole system. And well, there's so many benefits. I could obviously go along all about that. But as you can see, the ability to practice the two is important, But importantly, I will say if you are going to practice the pelvic curl, one of the biggest mistakes I've seen and that I've made as well is that you have to be soft. You are not doing the exercise to contract. You are literally just moving the bones. Think about it like that, really luscious movement. So right now I'm kind of doing like a pelvic curl just in this position. I'm just thinking about things moving. I'm not contracting or forcing. And then from there, it feels like a nice massage for your body. And then you move on. You go on to the stable exercises. So I hope this is helpful and helps you reframe how you can think about doing a pelvic curl exercise into your routine, and then also thinking about when you're going to focus on a glute bridge.